Stress. Stress is the experience of strain due to prolonged adverse circumstances. It regards attending to perceived threats that cannot sufficiently be dealt with. Overstretching of bodily resources to meet some tasks forces the body to put other important activities on hold. This makes people feel under par from attempts to cope with escalating demands and a lack of rest. Stress always revolves around the limits of what can be managed, regardless of whether those boundaries are mental or physical. Although stress might not be traditionally considered an emotion, no account of emotions is complete without it. To gain an up-to-date understanding of stress, an appreciation is needed of how people psychologically, neurobiologically, and physically support good health. Homeostasis is the original word used to describe this process of maintaining balance through change, but it's mainly used to refer to a limited number of bodily functions that are essential for life. The contemporary version of this concept is called allostasis. Allostasis refers to how all systems, and not just the ones which are essential for life, adjust the intensity of their activity while coping with perceived challenges and how those systems return to rest. Blood pressure, blood flow, catecholamine, and the secretion of cortisol are all involved in metabolic efforts to maintain normal body functioning. Allostasis specifically defines how many bodily systems adaptively use limited resources to support health. Part of the reason the term allostasis was coined was to distinguish a professional concept of stress for research. The concept gives considerable clarity to how the psychological and neurobiological interactions are interwoven. Allostatic load refers to the wear and tear that's experienced due to the processes of allostasis. The load refers to the functional decline of internal organs and systems, especially the cardiovascular and endocrine, due to the arrangement of their workload. Internal constituents are stimulated thousands to millions of times to keep the body's chemical constitution balanced for a healthy life. Amazingly, the overall number of times a system performs its operations throughout a person's life is not the principal concern. Danger to health owes more to quantities of unsuitable and inappropriate responses. Serious problems are raised if one reaction is performed too much or too little. The body's resources become preoccupied and cannot do other duties. Inappropriate turning on and shutting off of these processes disrupts the body's ability to keep metabolic balance. When allostatic processes are overused or caused by maladaptive, inaccurate perceptions, optimal balance cannot be maintained owing to the complications from the added load. For example, especially over decades, excessive fight or flight reactions are firmly believed to be important for the slow progression of primary hypertension and metabolic syndrome in humans. The stresses people meet in early life, of which neglect and abuse are extreme stressors, interact with innate behavior, a person's genetic and epigenetic disposition. These experiences are molded into a unique set of psychological responses that can predispose people to overreact. Each disproportionate reaction is accompanied by an autonomic response. This includes the automatic secretion of hormones and neurotransmitters that prepare the body for the perceived threat. These over-the-top behaviors can become habitual ways of relating to perceived threats, particularly when learnt at a young age and repeated in adulthood. Every time such an inappropriate defensive response is experienced, it disrupts metabolic activity. Workload is added to the body's schedule to keep a healthy internal balance. The amount of rest needed by a system within the body is increased. Another overreaction around the same time will deprive the body of the rest it needed to recover, and it will keep the body living in a state of deficit. Workload is added to the body's schedule to keep a healthy and internal balance. The amount of rest needed by a system within the body is increased. The list of scheduled things to do is increasing and neglected. Ongoing bodily operations are performed by systems that are progressively deprived of rest and not working properly. These systems contain an increasing probability of interconnected failure. There is a cascading effect from overreactive and maladaptive autonomic responses onto overworked systems, which places the body in an endless state of catch-up. For example, chronic mental stress includes overworking several brain regions that cascade troublesome reactions. One such symptom of chronic stress seems to be the overproduction of a chemical called calcitonin gene-related peptide, or CGRP. This mass manufacture of CGRP envelops the surface of the Langerhans cells and reduces their functionality. It inhibits the Langerhans cells from detecting infectious agents and bringing them to the attention of the immune system's white blood cells. Infections then are more likely to go undetected, compromise health, and create more work for the body while it has a reduced capacity to defend itself. Prolonged anxiety, sadness, and despair can all suppress immune system functioning owing to similar cascades of neurobiological processes. While depriving the body of much-needed rest, excessive emotions interrupt and reduce the body's ability to keep a healthy internal constitution. Thoughts and emotions are immersed in the allostatic procedures of maintaining balance through change. They work according to such fatigue and rest cycles. For more information, please look in the description below.